Welcome to the NCHA. I'm Steve Shard, Director of Communications. I am joined by Courtney Ben, a junior forward from Adrian, who has been named the Women's Player of the Month for January. Courtney, congratulations.
Thank you.
As we go through this interview, I'm really curious to start off. Let's talk Adrian hockey. The month of January, 6 wins, 0 losses, and a tie. That tie ended in a shootout loss at St. Norbert. I want to start there. That was a phenomenal series. Probably it was your longest road trip of the season. Can you talk through last weekend, that battle with the Green Knights on their ice, just kind of what happened?
They put up a really good fight against us. I mean, obviously we knew it was going to be hard coming into the weekend and like they played us well. They played us hard and played us well and they had a very good atmosphere there as well. They had a lot of fans and I mean, obviously had a couple bounces that didn't go our way, but we're regrouping and getting ready for the upcoming weekends and then into playoffs.
As a team and speak for the team maybe or you individually, can you talk about going from Friday to Saturday, the essentially the highs and the lows? You go from Friday night an overtime victory to Saturday a shootout that goes 5 rounds and it doesn't go your way. Just that swing of emotions. What is that like?
You know, uh, that's actually like it was definitely we were very happy after we were able to get that win on Friday night. Going into Saturday, we were definitely focused pretty well, and like we just had a couple bounces that never went our like didn't go our way. I mean, just speaking, like we never actually were down in that game once. Like we were tied. We were either up or tied the entire game, and then they took us to overtime, and then eventually a shootout, and they ended up getting the win. But I mean, we just obviously that Saturday loss hurt. It hurt us emotionally just because of how hard we worked to get to that specific spot. But we just got back to work this week on Monday and we're getting ready for Concordia this weekend.
Can you talk through a shootout? You've had several victories this season that have ended in your favor significantly. You get to the shootout, the different level of an intensity that goes into that when it's skater versus goalie one on one and the entire arena is watching.
Ah, it's a tense feeling for sure. Yeah, it goes like you go out there, it goes dead silent when you go, and then either you score and your whole team goes crazy for you, or you're getting people in the stands yelling for the other team. Like it's definitely a tough one. I mean, I ended up going in that shootout, and their goalie made a very good save on me. So I mean, it sucked when she made that save. I will say that, but it's a very like emotional roller coaster for sure.
You individually, the month of January, let's touch on that. You had 3 multi-point games, 7 goals, 11 total points, 3 power play goals, 2 hat tricks. Your individual performances, what stands out when you hear some of those numbers?
I mean, I don't really, I've learned to not look at stats. I have not let that define me. I just kind of go in the game thinking I'm going to be my best today and I'm going to be my best in this game and I'm going to do whatever it takes to make it possible for our team to be able to win. And I mean, yeah, I am proud of myself, but it's putting in that work and also a lot of help from my teammates. So, I mean, it's kind of like I don't really look at that. So,
This is the second time we're meeting this season. You were named the NCHA Women's Player of the Month for November. Went back and I rewatched that interview. You had back-to-back hat tricks way early in the season. Again, 2 hat tricks in the month of January. Is there anything about certain games when you score the first one and then the second one, do you press a little bit harder to get the third one, or is it just it's coming in bunches?
it almost is like it comes in bunches. Like it genuinely does. Like I kind of I think almost every single one of my hat tricks I've had this season, I haven't scored till like the second period. So like it's like I don't know, it's weird. But like if I score in the second and then I just keep shooting, like I get that confidence once I get that first one and I'm like just like here we go. Like it's time to go. Like I'm like I know I can put the puck in the back of the net, so let's just do it again.
I am curious from your team standpoint. I've seen other teams across the league, certain game pucks, pink hats, all these different things that happen in the locker room. What does Adrian do when hat tricks occur?
Uh, we get the pucks. Like we'll have one of my teammates will end up picking up the puck. Like for me, I have I have a whole stack. I have a stack of them going over here. I mean, it's definitely a cool thing to have to remember it.
You individually right now, nationally, fifth in the country in goals per game, fourth in points per game, fourth in power plays. What is it about you individually, but also having to be, not having to be, you are the go-to scorer for Adrian at this point? Is there any added pressure that comes with hearing that?
I mean, no, not really. I obviously it's I play at Adrian. Like I know that's like obviously a big name for anyone in the country, but I mean, sometimes in the tight games, I do like it's I kind of feel the pressure within myself. It's me trying to do something for myself, and it's like me pressuring myself. It's not my teammates. Like every single person on my team is willing and able to score on any night. So like it's just myself wanting to be able to produce for my team because I know that I can.
When you look at your roster, very balanced from a scoring standpoint. Obviously, the numbers I just mentioned, you've risen to the top of that. You get in certain games, do your teammates maybe start looking for you because of the success you've had this season? Or is it, as you've talked about, any given night, anybody can score?
Honestly, yeah, like there's comments that are like, "Oh, like Ben, go put one in the back of the net." But like at the same time, it's everybody that's getting that. Like I'll hear that, but like we have Riley, who's been a big scorer for us this year. Same with Eilina and Roy and Catherine Trubin. Like everybody is capable of doing anything on any night, so it's not just on me.
Last season, I want to ask you had 9 points last season with 5 goals. This season, 31 points, 16 goals. Can you talk about what's been the drastic shift?
I did do a lot of work this summer, on not only just like myself physically, but mentally as well. I kind of just like if I'm not things aren't going my way, take a minute on the bench and refocus myself to try and get there. Whereas like my mental game wasn't as strong my sophomore year. I also like I thrive off of being confident. So like if I'm confident going into the game, um, obviously things are going to go well for me. I didn't really entirely get into the groove that I had wanted to last year. I just overall I became a better athlete and a better player. So
Where does the inner drive come from, that work ethic to decide, hey, in the summer, I'm going to put the time and the effort in because it wasn't good enough?
well, last year I was also kind of in and out of the lineup a lot. I didn't really have a spot. So I went into the summer, I'm like, okay, this is what I want. I want to be that person that my team can look at and be like, okay, she's going to go out there and do something for us. She's going to do something to help us win. So I really just like anytime I was feeling unmotivated, it was like you need to like this is what you want. You need to go to the gym, you need to do your shoot your pucks, you need everything else because this is what you want. And obviously it's like it's succeeding for me right now. Like I'm happy for myself that I did it because of where I'm at now.
You've certainly done that. I want to ask about your roster. 6 graduate students, 4 seniors, 6 juniors. That's a lot of experience. When you get to practice or some of these games, how much does that experience come to in certain situations where the intensity might go up? You get to a weekend last weekend at St. Norbert where it's a 1 goal game. Where does that experience come into play?
Honestly, yeah, you were right. We do have a lot of experience with a lot of different things. And, like when things do get tense, it's everybody coming in together, leading the team, being like, okay, we got this. Like when we got caught in our zone a couple times last week, it was like, all right, grind it out. Like this is who we are. We're Adrian. We can get out of this. Like we've been in these situations before and we've been in like even tougher situations with the tournament last year. Like we know how to play under pressure.
What are the goals for this season? Obviously, regular season, tournament, NCAA championship. Are those on a big board in the locker room somewhere, or kind of where is that within the scheme of Adrian women's hockey?
It's always in the back of our heads. No matter what, even if we don't talk about it, it's like this is what we want. Every single person buys in every day to get to that point. Like I mean, we have our ups and our downs for sure, but it's like the ultimate end goal is obviously that national tournament title.
I want to ask you, look at the NCHA standings right now. St. Norbert, Adrian, 1 point back. You're going to need St. Norbert to potentially slip up in some fashion, and you guys have to kind of run the table in regulation. If that doesn't happen, is that going to motivate you a little bit more when you get to the playoffs and knowing that the success you look back over the last 10 years in the record books, it's Adrian a lot to maybe not have that this year if that happens?
Yeah, that one definitely hurt a little bit. Just the thought of possibly not having, if we end up making it to that final game, not having it at home. Obviously, I think I could be wrong. I know at least the past 2 years have been at Adrian. Maybe I don't know how long it's been since we
It's
haven't had it at home.
We've been traveling to Adrian for a number of
Yeah,
years now. You are correct.
yeah.
Yes.
Um, but honestly, it's just like it's the same thing. It's go to the rink, do our pregame skate, get ourselves mentally prepared. I mean, yeah, if we do have to end up going to Green Bay and that's how things do line up, that's where we're going.
Let's set the St. Norbert discussion aside. Looking ahead to this weekend, Concordia, Wisconsin, and before the last weekend of the season, what do you have to do this weekend to get past CUW, who's playing very well themselves this season?
I mean, same old, same old, same old. Adrian hockey. You got to bear down, put the pucks in the back of the net. Concordia's having a very good season this year. Yeah, they're not somebody to just push aside and just be like, oh, they're Concordia. They're a good team. Like we've been keeping up with them. We know they're sniffing for to pass Adrian. Everybody always is.
Then you look to the very last weekend of the season, a home and home series against Trine. Talk about that, maybe just the different atmosphere being so close in proximity. Kind of what is that like?
It's definitely interesting. Trine and Adrian are always like they're both in the MIAA, so like it's like always a big rivalry even outside of the NCHA. Like um just being that close and what's crazy is Trine's rink is almost identical to our rink is anyway, so it's like, oh, like we're at home, but it's like a little different at the same time. But yeah, it's always fun having that like competition so close.
Last question I want to ask you, as we've talked about in the past and right now during this conversation, you don't necessarily care so much about the numbers. It's about playing hard and winning games. However, you're 1 point back in the standings, as I mentioned. Is there going to be any scoreboard watching at all these last 2 weekends as you play, or is it just we got to do what we got to do and let the chips fall where they may?
I mean, it's always we got to do what we got to do. But I mean, me myself, I keep up with everybody anyways. So I mean, there's that scoreboard checking with like teams in the NESCAC, like my old team at Elmira. Like I do it with everybody. So I mean, it's not just a given. We have to go in and take care of business. These next 4 games are not anything to take lightly, and we just have to go in and play hard the Adrian way the next 4 games.
I'll add one more last question for you before we wrap up here. I'm curious from an academic standpoint. We are now into February, so you might be a week or two into the second semester. How do you transition from having that break and concentrating just solely on hockey to now having to go back to classroom and hockey? And now you get into playoffs very shortly and potentially into the national tournament. What is that transition like, and how do you balance that from a student athlete perspective?
It's definitely hard sometimes, especially for some people. For me, though, I've always been a very organized person in the first place, and I do like a lot of my classes are end up being online just because of what I'm going into, which is financial planning through our school is online. So it's not too difficult for me. Like I only have a class a day on Monday and Wednesday and two classes a day on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I mean, everything after 4 p.m. is pretty much free for me Monday through Thursday. So that adjustment really isn't too hard for me. But I know like our science majors, like it's definitely tough. It's like you have to make sure you are on top of things on your schedules, making sure you're telling your teachers, like we missed Thursday classes the past 2 weekends. You have to make sure our teachers are okay with that and they're informed. So it's definitely tough, but at the same time, it's manageable.
Well, Courtney, again, good to talk with you, and congratulations on winning the NCHA Women's Player of the Month for January.
Thank you so much.